Hi, my name is Christopher Coletta. I am 22 years old. I live in Bolton, Ontario. It's a small town, just like 40 kilometers outside of Toronto, north of Toronto. And yeah, I am gay, and living in a small town. Being gay was definitely hard. Growing up, because I lived in Bolton my entire life. I was born here. I grew up with everyone, the same people throughout my entire life. So essentially, I knew I was gay, or I don't even want to use the word gay for that matter. I knew there was something up with me from the age of since I can remember, since I can literally remember, because I remember looking at boys and looking at girls and thinking boys were cute and girls were friends. And that was in my mind, but I also knew that was wrong at the time, that boys married girls and girls married boys. I just always knew there was something just off with me, but I didn't know what it was, because think about being a child. You don't even know what the word gay was. Like, no one even talked about it. Like, it was never a thing. So I didn't know the terminology for what was going on with my brain. I remember thinking me and my sister would do dress up together, and I would wear dresses, and she would we would dress up like girls, you know what I mean? And I would always want to do the girly things. I'd want to play Barbies, and I want to do that fun girl stuff versus all the male trucks and all that stuff. I didn't like doing that. But what's it called? So growing up, I just knew there was something up with me. And then I think I figured it out when I knew I was actually gay was when I was probably 12 or 13, I would say. Just graduating out of middle school, I would say, is when I really figured it out. I was okay, I dated a girl, because there was those little flings that you would have in middle school where you hold hands and everything. And I dated this girl who was my best friend. Her name's Jackie. And I just thought I had a crush on her, and she had a crush on me. So one day we just held hands at recess, asked each other out, whatever. And then throughout that whole entire month, I just knew, something deep inside of me. I was this doesn't even feel right at all. She's my friend. She's nothing more. I can't see it being anything more. And she felt it too. And so she told me, she was we can't do this anymore. We should just stay friends. And I was yeah, for sure. For sure. Keep in mind, we're prepubescent at the time. This is so recess. Right? Yeah. And so it's so LOL on it. So, but what's it called? We became best friends after that. She's still my best friend to this day. And I just knew after that, I was the girls just aren't for me. That's what it is. But I was I'll just say, I was bullied a lot through elementary school and middle school and high school, because I was definitely much more evidently gay, and I was closeted though. So I was telling everyone I was straight. However, it was very clear I was gay, you know what I mean? So a lot of people made fun of me for it, and people would make jokes, people, and it was started off with just teasing, you know what I mean? Elementary school, but in high school, it got much more severe. So that was when I really fell into depression, because I knew I was, and I didn't want to tell anyone. And I felt it was this huge secret. I didn't want to tell my parents. I didn't want to tell, but I lived in a small town as well, because if one person found out, the whole town would find out, in my mind. And at that point, I felt ostracized if anyone found out I was gay. And I didn't know anyone else in the town that really came off as feminine. You know what I mean? I felt like I was the only one. So I felt I was the wrong. You know what I mean? I felt like I was the person that was in the wrong, and I should change and be straight. That was in my mindset. And so teasing happened a lot at high school. People would throw food. I remember at lunch, I would get food thrown at me, and it sucked. I hated it. And then what's it called? I remember I got pushed into lockers a couple times. You always think of that as a TV show kind of thing, but I remember thinking, I definitely got shoved into lockers, for sure, at least 3 or 4 times throughout high school. And then people older than me would make jokes at me and call me names in the middle of the hallway. I would get called I call it the F word, but I'll say it. I got called fag at least once a day. Probably. Wow. And then, I would go home and just feel so horrible. And there was no going forward. And in all honesty, like, I contemplated suicide like numerous times. Like, I can't even count the times that I've thought about it. There's been twice where I haven't fully attempted. I've set up, but didn't ever attempt. And chickened out because my mom was in the room next door. So I never did it. And then I would call my friend Maddie, and we would talk for hours on end. And she would like convince me that I am a part of this world, and there is a place for me. And like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then I think in grade 11, I was hooking up with a guy that I knew. And then he told someone who told someone who told someone who told someone who told someone, and then a bunch of people found out in school. I don't know how many people did find out because I just didn't want to think about it. But a bunch of people found out that I was hooking up with this guy in school, so it was very much like evident that I was gay. Like, everyone basically found out. And then in grade, I just remember it took like a couple weeks for it to absorb. And then I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? I was really lucky. In my mind, thinking then, I was really lucky because I went to a different school than Bolton. Like, this when we went to Mayfield. So I thought in my mind, I'm like, you know what? Like, if Mayfield knows, it's not that big of a deal. Because as long as Bolton and Harborview doesn't know, because I didn't want my parents to find out. Because my biggest fear was my parents finding out. And, like, your parents are your parents, right? Like, if they, like, drop you, it just, like, feels like it's not the best feeling in the world. Like, they drop you. It's just like, it's not. So I didn't want to think about that happening, because I knew that my parents, like, every parent wants, like, at that time, I guess, like, we're in a much more accepting year, I think. But like 10 years ago when we were in like, or like, I don't think it was 10 years ago we were in high school, but like 5 to 10 years ago, like, some people like still weren't even accepting. Like, there's a lot of people that weren't accepting, you know what I mean?
Years.
So,
even like
what's
20,
that?
Even like 20 years. It only, I feel
yeah,
like
exactly.
The gay community only really came more accepting within the last like 2 years. Don't get me wrong. Maybe literally within the maybe 3. Don't get me wrong. Maybe 3. But within only the now, like growing up, like in our childhood, no.
It was not okay.
It wasn't okay.
It was not okay.
It wasn't okay. No, it definitely wasn't okay. No.
And I remember being a kid, and I knew my parents didn't agree with it because I remember being a kid, and my parents would always like, they tried so hard because I knew they knew, you know what I mean? Because parents know.
Yeah.
They knew there was something up with me, and my dad would push me into sports. He would tell me to do hockey. He would tell me to do soccer. I had so many boy toys that I didn't want to play with ever. Like, they would push me to do all. My mom would tell me every year, like, let's try to make more boyfriends this year. Like, let's try to make friends that are guys. Like, you hang out with too many girls. Like, you need to stop. Like, let's try with guys this year, you know? Like, start growing it out a little bit, like, basically. So I knew they didn't exactly want a gay son. So it took a while for them to finally accept that. But essentially, with what I was saying, I was happy that Mayfield knew and Harborview didn't because my parents still never knew. But then in grade 12, everyone in Mayfield knew. And then a couple people from Harborview started finding out. And then, like, I don't know, it just became a matter of, like, I found out that it wasn't other people accepting me. It was more myself accepting myself, if that makes sense. Like, I think I was my biggest bully in high school because I was trying so hard to hide away from who I truly, truly was to fit what I thought other people wanted. But I feel like if I was just confident in myself in high school and just told everyone, yeah, I'm gay, I don't give a fuck what you think, because how I am now, I would have been way less bullied. I think there would have been a lot more people that would have been looking like idiots for bullying me because it was stupid that I didn't care. You know what I mean? So at the end of high school, I think basically everyone in high school knew, but my parents never found out. I was really happy about that because I was still terrified for them to find out. And then I went to university. When I went to university, I thought in my mind, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to a whole new town, a whole new school. Nobody knows me here. I'm going to start off not being scared. Like, I'm just going to portray this person that's confident in who they are, and they're gay, and they don't care what you say. And if you do have something to say, like, let's talk about it in the open. You know what I mean? I was very like confrontational at the time, and very confident in myself. And I went to school, and that's what I did, and everyone loved me. And I made so many friends, and so many people just appreciated me for being who I was and just being honest and upfront about it. And they thought the sassy Chris was funny and fun to be around. And I made a lot of friends, a lot more friends, based on the fact that I was just open and being myself and confident and comfortable. So with that feeling at university, I came back to my hometown for a work shift. In my mind, I was just like, you know what? I feel so good at university, and I feel so shitty being closeted at home. Why not just tell them everything? Why not just let my parents know? So I went home. I went into my mom's room, and I like sat there at her doorway for a solid 2 to 3 minutes saying nothing. And she just stared at me and was like, what is this kid doing? And I just stared at her, and I felt so uncomfortable. And I kept saying, how are you doing tonight? Like, what did you do? I just made like really small talk with her. And then finally she was like, get to the point. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you standing in front of my doorway? And I was like, no reason, not a problem. Like, sorry, I just wanted to have a conversation. I went downstairs, and halfway down my stairway, I was like, Chris, you're a pussy. Like, I remember thinking in my mind, I'm like, you are a pussy. Like, what the hell? Like, go back upstairs and do what you want to do. And because I was leaving, I'm pretty sure I was leaving for university that night. I was just home for that one day, and I was leaving that night. So I thought, you know what, if she doesn't like it and my parents don't like it, I'll be back to university that night. It doesn't matter, and I'll never come back home. It doesn't matter at all. But I went back upstairs, and I said, Mom, Dad, like, I don't know if you know this at all, but I'm gay. And they like LOL basically in my face. And they were like, no, we knew like for a long time. And like, you're totally okay with us. Like, you be who you want to be. Like, we love you no matter who you are. Like, we just wish you told us sooner so that we could help you more. Like, we knew how much you were struggling, but we didn't want to like be the ones to be like, you're gay. Like, we knew it had to come from you. And so that's when I realized, I was like, it literally is all me. Like, it's all in my own head. Being who you are should not like you shouldn't stop being who you are for other people, essentially, is what the point is. And when I told my parents all the depression, all the upset, all the anger, because I had a lot of anger issues too, all the just negativity in my life, I swear to you, it felt like this huge weight lifted right off my shoulders, and I felt 1,000,000 pounds lighter. And like, I could just be who I was. And I went to school that night, and all my friends were like, hey, Grace, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. And I swear to you, I felt like a changed person. Like, it was like, I left the old Chris behind, and there was a new person. And it wasn't even that it was like a new person. It was like the person that was inside of me the whole entire time was finally allowed to like be free and be itself and just feel comfortable in its own skin. And I've never felt like happier, to be honest. Like, I felt myself for the last, I think I came out finally to everyone, and I made a huge Facebook status about it. To like, just put it on social media. Like, if you want to know, here it is, so that no one else had any questions. I came out when I was like 18. So that's like 4 years now. And like, it's the best 4 years I've ever had in my entire life. And I don't think I've ever thought about suicide. I don't think I've ever thought about depression, or any of that on myself since that time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Chris. No, good for you.
Thank you.
So hard.
Yeah, no, it honestly, like, it was hard in a time, and I think about it now, and I'm like, like I said to you, I laugh at how scared I was in high school, knowing that like, like, if I just was open and out about it, like, I probably don't think I would have cared about any of like the haters or whatever like that. I don't think I would have cared about the bullying. I don't think at all, because I just think about myself now. I'm like, I'm so confident, and I'm so like, if anyone like had a problem with it, I'm like, you're the stupid one, you know, like, you're the dumb one for having a problem with that, who anyone else is. And it's also opened up my mind to like 100,000 other people, you know what I mean? Like, knowing that I would never want anyone to judge me. I don't think it's possible for me to judge any other person in this world. Like, it's just not right. Yeah. People go through their hardships. Everyone has a different story. This is my own story, but everyone has their own story, and you can't judge someone based off of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's true, and it's surprising that the school that we went to, being an art school, that it was hard for people to, it was hard for you to to even be accepted, and there was bullying, even though that we went to an art school and we were supposed to be so accepting because there was dance, there was drama, there was music, there were so many different types of people in such a small setting. You would think that we would all accept everyone, but actually it was the opposite.
No, exactly.
Like sorry to say for anybody that listens to this, but Mayfield was full of cliques. Like, even myself, like, going to high school, like, I didn't have the group of friends I had. I probably don't, like, I would probably be alone going to Mayfield every day, because my group of friends were the only group of friends I had, because I knew that if I talked to anybody else, I would be judged, and that's not right. And, like, now that I take a look back and I look at it and you think about it, it's like high school was actually so lonely. And it was so isolating, and it's for someone that's like you, that grew up in an era that being gay is not accepting, which is so stupid because you are just like everybody else. Yeah. It's even more isolating for you. Yeah. And even more,
it was like feeling like you're at the bottom of the pack at all times. You know what I mean? Like, you were always at the bottom of the totem pole. Because I feel like high school, especially ours, like you were saying, was a huge, like, social ladder. You know what I mean? Like, there were people at the top and there were people at the bottom. And, like, the cliques just, like, kept going. Like, there were people just, like, on a level. And, like, it just always, like, there were certain people in high school where you just always feel like at the bottom of the pack, and you just will never climb that ladder ever, and it was impossible. I think, though, I don't know if you felt the same way, though, but, like, in grade 12, it came to the point where it was, like, no one even cared anymore. Like, I think there was a lot of people like you, yourself, and myself, like, where we just, like, who cares if you don't like us? Like, there were certain people in the school that I was like, I like you, I think you're cool, and that's it. Like, that's the end of it. And there were other people who just, like, you didn't need to spend time with, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think, like, a lot of us went through that in grade 12 and, like, at graduation, where we were just like, oh my God, like, it's like not even worth the, like, effort at that point, you know?
Yeah. No, I felt the same way. Yeah. Grade 11 and grade 11, I truly stopped caring. Like, cause grade 10, I had my own thing going on, like, with my family and stuff. So so going through that, I came out with thinking, fuck, my attitude was literally, I don't care. I don't care. If you don't benefit me and I don't benefit you, I don't care.
That's what I'm saying. And I remember saying on the first day of grade 12, I was like, I don't want to fucking do this year. I'm so over high school. Like, I'm so sick of the people. Like, it was like the people too. I was just like, I'm done with it. And I remember saying to Maddie, I was driving her to school the first day, and I was like, honestly, I don't even want to go. Like, I don't even want to go. And she was like, let's just make this year and not give a fuck year. Like, let's just, like, go in and just, if we like you, we like you. If we don't, we don't. And that's just how it's going to work. If you want to hang out with us, you can hang out with us, but we're not going to try anymore. Yeah. Like, there's no more trying to sit with the group of 21. There's no more trying to fucking, like, to be, like, cool or whatever. Like, I think I like, at the end of high school, I tried so hard to get away from drama kids, but by the end of high school, I was hanging with all the drama kids. So I was like, they're the only fucking real people.
True, fair enough. Yeah, I hear you. The people that you didn't like, the people that you thought were your enemies were actually not.
Like, literally, I'm like, okay, this whole time I was, like, trying to avoid you guys, and you guys are actually, like, fucking chill as shit. Like, I don't know why I haven't been, like, trying at all. No, but yeah, high school, I think, for a lot of people, I don't know, maybe it was our generation. I think, because I'm thinking about, like, high school experiences now, like, I'm talking to people in high school now, they're in such an accepting era, like, such an accepting time, where it's, like, if you aren't accepting of, like, gay people or trans people or just any minority in general in high school, it's like you're the fool. You are the minority now at this point. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's true for, like, anyone else, but, like, from the stories that I've heard from high school kids now, and, like, from videos you watch on, like, that go viral like crazy, like, seems like high school is a much more accepting place as of right now. I don't know.
One question that I do have for you is that if you could tell someone that is, well, I have two questions actually. If someone that's in your shoes right now, knowing, like, everything that you went through, what is one piece of advice that you would give them?
Honestly, I think the biggest advice, because I think it also depends on circumstance, right? I was very lucky to have an extremely, extremely loving family that was accepting of like all religions, all races, all sexualities, all anything. And I was extremely lucky for that case. There's a lot of people, though, who have families that would drop them if they were to come out. And in the back of my mind, I was scared it would happen, but also in the back of my mind, I knew it wouldn't. And it was just, so I think I would tell someone to honestly just be true to themselves, find the people who really care about you, because I know it's hard to find in high school especially, but find those people who you know truly care about you and stick with those people, because those people will help you no matter what. And really just be true to yourself, because the more you hide from who you are, the more dark your world's going to get, the more negative your world's going to get, the more angry you're going to get. And it's never going to help you until you finally accept who you actually are. You can't go your whole entire life saying you're straight when you're not, or being closeted when when you want to just be open about your sexuality. So just be true to your heart, because it'll ruin your high school experience, honestly. I think I would have had a much better high school experience if I just said to everyone at the start of grade 9, knowing, because I knew I was at the start of grade 9, I should have just said it at the very beginning and been like, fuck the haters. Because I remember there were so many people. I don't know. No, there weren't so many people. There were a few people, though, when I was in grade 9 that were gay in older grades. And they looked like they were having the time of their life, being so open about it. And like they would walk down the hallways being so flamboyant. And I just didn't even I didn't understand how they did it. Like, I was like, because I felt like I would be completely ostracized if I did it. So at the end of the day, just be true to yourself. Don't waste time being closeted and upset about what's true.
Yeah, and like who you really are. Because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, how you look at yourself is how other people look at yourself.
Exactly. And also, don't judge others. No. I'll say that. Just be a good person. Yeah. Just be a fucking good person.
And you kind of answered my second question. It would be like if you could go back in time. So you're 22, and if you could tell yourself at 12, 13 years old to... What would it be? Like, what would you...
Oh my gosh. Exactly what I just said. Exactly what I just said. Just be who you are. Stick with the people who care about you. Don't care about the rest of them, because if they don't like you, they're not important in your life. They're not making you, they're not benefiting you.
No, exactly. It's true.
Just love everyone and don't care for the people who don't.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything else you would like to share or anything?
No, I think it just, in general, I think what I just said, if you're feeling alone, if you're feeling depressed or upset, or you need someone to talk to, reach out to someone. There's someone there. So in general, let's talk. I think that's the best thing that Belle could have done. And I'm excited to be a part of your project, and that I can be a little voice for people.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. So Chris is the first person that will be participating in Gifts for the Homeless Belle Let's Talk. So thank you so much, Chris, for sharing your story with Gifts for the Homeless and myself, Brittany Camilleri. I'm sure everyone knows Brittany Camilleri. I am the creator and founder of Gifts for the Homeless. So again, thank you so much, Chris, for sharing your story.
Well, thank you.
Chris and I actually went to high school together, and we worked at McDonald's way back, flipping burgers, because I didn't want to work at cash.
God.
I was screw cash, because I worked at Tim Hortons for so many years. So yeah, Chris actually trained me.
I trained you. I did. I trained you to be the star you were.
Yes, for the 4 months I worked there.
For the 4 months, and then you left, and I was like, there she goes. Yeah. Already doing better than her freaking trainer by leaving this fucking hellhole.